is all he does is play basketball. In the world, he's this big.
So all he had to do was just run 3 guys at him, and every time he tried to attack the basket, knock him on his butt, and make him go with the free throw line and wear him down.
So all that whining they did, why shake their hand? They were just whiners. They won the series. Give them credit. We got old. They got past us, but okay.
Before the 1991 season kicked off, Michael Jordan had been through years of pure punishment from the Detroit Pistons. Every season ended the same way: bruises, heartbreak, and Bill Laimbeer enforcing that infamous defense designed for one mission only: stop Jordan at all costs. Laimbeer made a name off intimidation and chaos. If Jordan dared drive the lane, Laimbeer made sure he left the floor hurting. But by Game 4 of the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals, something had shifted. Chicago wasn't just fighting Detroit anymore, they were crushing them. Jordan had taken every foul, every cheap shot, every dirty lesson the Pistons dished out, and now he was unleashing all that fury right back on the man who tried to break him.
I never really ever liked Laimbeer in any social situation.
No.
Yeah.
And it's because he was a dirty player.
Right.
Now, he had to do what he had to do. I understand that. But you take like Ricky Mahorn, he'd hit you and all that, but he'd hit you, you know you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
He didn't try to maim you.
Right.
He'll try to hurt you.
Right.
And, he was one of them guys, you shoot a jumper, he'd try to slide his foot underneath your ankle so you twist your ankle. And that's why Parrish
Did he really used to do that?
If you watch any of our old games, Parrish was always twisting his ankle against the Pistons.
Laimbeer's job was to destroy Jordan, but that night, it was Jordan who destroyed him. He attacked the paint like a storm, finishing through brutal contact and making Detroit's enforcer look helpless. The Bad Boys dynasty collapsed right before their home crowd, and all Laimbeer could do was watch as Jordan rose above them all, literally and symbolically. This wasn't just a win, it was a crowning moment. The day his airness buried the Pistons' reign and ended Laimbeer's hold on the game for good. To really understand why Game 4 in 1991 hit so hard, you have to know who the Pistons were and who Bill Laimbeer truly was. The late 80s Detroit Pistons weren't just a team, they were a whole mentality. A culture built on toughness, intimidation, and raw aggression. The name Bad Boys wasn't a gimmick, it was a lifestyle, and Laimbeer embodied it like no one else. He wasn't the fastest or the flashiest. He didn't fly through the air like Jordan or cross defenders into highlight reels.
Bill Laimbeer was about the team and winning. It took me until I came to my second Saturn return, that means 60, and it made me realize that Bill Laimbeer was the person who carved and chiseled steel against steel and was like, you have all this talent, stop wasting it.
That's what he told you?
Yeah, he said, hey, why do you miss foul shots? I said, what? He said, they're free and you can shoot. Put the ball in the basket. Every basket is worth $100,000 or $10,000. Mm-hmm. Man, I went from 68 to 79 to 80 because he would, and he didn't try to be my friend. He was the vet he was supposed to be. I didn't like a lot of things he did, but, the proof is in the pudding.
What he brought was raw power, a fearless will to be hated, and a masterful ability to get under his opponent's skin. If you dared drive to the basket, he'd make sure you remembered it. Hard fouls, sharp elbows, body checks, whatever it took, Laimbeer was there to send a message. And when it came to Jordan, that message was simple: you're not getting through us. Laimbeer was the anchor of a defense designed to wear Jordan down. Body after body, foul after foul. For a few long years, it worked. The Pistons eliminated the Bulls 3 straight times, and every series ended with Laimbeer standing tall, reminding everyone that skill alone couldn't beat Detroit's brutality. So how were they doing it? Simple. The Jordan rules. A whole system built around breaking down one man.
How are they doing it? They must have some trick. Oh, it's the Jordan rules. They've got this secret Jordan rules.
The Jordan rules. Is that something you guys made up?
On the switch, Jordan. Guarded by Laimbeer. No easy layup.
Jordan rule? No, I don't know what that is.
It was like the Da Vinci Code, the formula to Coca-Cola, and the Jordan rule.
You're not going to give your game plan away on television, man.
It wasn't just defense, it was psychological warfare. On paper, it looked straightforward. Force him left, trap him on the wings, drop him to the floor if he dared come inside. But in practice, it was war, and Laimbeer was the frontline general. He didn't care if it meant 6 fouls or a broken nose. His mission was to send Jordan crashing to the hardwood again and again. The Pistons didn't just defend Michael Jordan, they studied him, built a manual for stopping him. They believed that if every possession turned into a fight, eventually Jordan's magic would crack under pressure and pain. To them, this wasn't dirty basketball. Worse they Vunsuur, it was a masterclass in mind games and muscle.
This is what the Jordan rules were. On the wings, we're going to push him to the elbow, and we're not going to let him drive to the baseline. Number 2, when he's on top, we're going to influence him to his left. When he got the ball in the low post, we're going to trap him from the top. Well, that's the Jordan rules, and it was that simple.
What happens when he does make the baseline?
And that's when Laimbeer and Mahorn would go up and knock him down to the ground.
They knew Jordan was too skilled to be stopped the usual way, so they invented their own. And Laimbeer, with his brute size and bad guy energy, was the perfect soldier for that war. But here's the twist, the Jordan rules backfired. Every foul, every shove, every playoff heartbreak forged a stronger version of the very man they were trying to break. The more they beat him down, the harder he came back. Jordan hit the gym, added muscle, mastered his post game, and started trusting his team. By 1991, those rules were useless. The same rough play that once slowed him down only lit his fire. And there he was again, standing across from Laimbeer, the enforcer ready to run it back, unaware that the game had already changed. The late 80s had been Jordan's toughest lesson. Year after year, MVP seasons ended with Detroit shutting the door. Every bruise carried the same message, not yet. But Jordan wasn't built to accept not yet. Instead of folding, he transformed.
As soon as he steps in the paint, hit him.
Chuck Daly. So this is a Jordan rule. Every time you go to the basket, put him on the ground. When he comes to the basket, he ain't gonna dunk. We're gonna hit you and you're gonna be on the ground.
And Jordan is still there.
We tried to physically hurt Michael.
Jordan had no place to go. Robert.
He beefed up to take the hits, mastered his footwork to control space, and learned to play smarter. He turned pain into precision, turning every loss into a blueprint for domination. By 1991, he wasn't just ready for Detroit, he was ready to end them. The difference was impossible to ignore. Michael Jordan wasn't just an elite scorer anymore. He had turned into the ultimate weapon. Equal parts skill, strength, and leadership, a full package built for domination. The Bulls had grown right alongside him too. Scottie Pippen was stepping into superstardom. Horace Grant brought serious muscle in the paint, and Phil Jackson's triangle offense gave Jordan a system he could finally trust. The Pistons were still tough, still mean, still dirty when needed, but this time, Jordan wasn't playing their game. He was forcing them to play his. As the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals unfolded, it became obvious. The Bulls weren't the ones getting bullied anymore. Game 4 in Detroit was the exclamation mark. The night Jordan told Laimbeer and the Bad Boys, "Your reign of fear ends tonight." May 27th, 1991, the Palace of Auburn Hills. Game 4 wasn't about surviving. It was about ending something.
They were called Jordan rules, but they're defensive rules. They were about defense. And at that time, you wasn't going to give away your game plan or your formulas of how you're defending and stopping someone. So yeah, they called it them Jordan rules.
From the opening tip, the Bulls looked locked in. They weren't just trying to win, they came to bury Detroit for good. Chicago came out firing, hitting shots, moving the ball, and smothering every Pistons possession with suffocating defense. Every second screamed control. This was their moment, and at the center of it all, Michael Jordan. Cool, calm, and ruthless. He dictated every play, every rhythm. Mid-range jumpers, splash, fadeaways over defenders, effortless, drives through double teams like slicing through air. Detroit threw every body they had at him, but he just shrugged it off. Crowd him on the perimeter and he'd rise over them. Swish! Pack the paint and he'd slip through, draw the foul, and stroll to the line like it was practice. Bill Laimbeer was supposed to be the wall, the last line of defense, but he looked helpless. Time after time, Chicago went straight at him, finishing through brutal contact, while the whistle echoed through the arena. The more Detroit fouled, the stronger Jordan looked. The harder they hit him, the sharper he became.
Stifling Detroit Piston defense holds the Chicago Bulls to 28 of 90, 31%. But Michael Jordan had 31, and he's with Pat O'Brien.
Right. Heard Michael Jordan here in the midst of the celebration. What are you saying to the other players, Mike?
All you can do is wish them good luck. I mean, we fought hard. They were the better team. We went to a 7-game series. What more can we ask for? We want to be where they are, but we still got to win our turn. We're still trying to improve our team. They were the better team, and they played better today.
By halftime, the Pistons weren't just losing the game. They were losing their soul. Their physicality wasn't working, their schemes had collapsed, and their so-called enforcer was being hunted on every possession. Meanwhile, the Bulls looked free, confident, and unstoppable, like a team that knew destiny was on their side. This wasn't just Chicago stealing a win in Detroit. This was Michael Jordan putting the entire Bad Boys dynasty on trial. And the verdict was already written in stone. For years, Bill Laimbeer had been the face of Detroit's intimidation. He prided himself on breaking spirits, throwing weight around, and controlling the game through chaos. But not on this day. In front of the Detroit faithful, Laimbeer looked like a ghost of his former self. The bully finally getting bullied back.
Back in those days, you had to go through them, around them, over them, under them. You had to develop all those things. So the Detroit Pistons were his main nemesis, but it was also like he wanted to be known as the most dominant player ever. Michael was up for anybody. He didn't care. Every game, every practice, every off day was circled on Michael's calendar. He would go into practice wanting to destroy anybody and everybody in practice. And he said, the harder I practice, the easier the game will become. He did everything to an extreme so it would actually make the games much easier for him. It worked.
From the opening minutes, the Pistons were tense, desperate, on edge. Jordan attacked the basket like a man possessed. Smooth jumpers, fearless drives, effortless finishes. Every foul they committed only made him stronger. Detroit tried to respond the only way they knew how, by getting even more physical, throwing harder hits, trying to shake his focus. But it backfired spectacularly. Instead of rattling him, it exposed them. Their frustration, their exhaustion, and the cold reality that their empire was crumbling right before their eyes. Meanwhile, Jordan was running the whole show. With Laimbeer sidelined, Detroit completely lost its edge, and Jordan pounced on every weakness like a predator smelling blood. Every gap in the defense, every whistle against the Pistons hit harder than the last. A cruel reminder that their old tricks didn't work anymore. And the worst part? Jordan made it look easy. The humiliation wasn't just in Jordan's scoring, it was in how powerless Laimbeer looked.
He'll score if he has to, but he would rather feed the ball off. And Pippen able to feed it off to Jordan. Turnabout is fair play, and their defense right now is doing it. The Bulls in.
Every foul he committed tore down Detroit's so-called tough guy image. Every time Jordan walked calmly to the free throw line, the once rowdy Palace crowd fell quieter and quieter. The enforcer who once set the tone was now just reacting, frustrated, outmatched, and fading fast. By the fourth quarter, the humiliation was complete. The same crowd that once fed off Laimbeer's elbows and Detroit's swagger sat frozen in disbelief. They weren't watching the Bad Boys dominate. They were watching their empire collapse. Jordan flipped the whole script, attacking without fear, dictating every possession, and turning Laimbeer into a non-factor. This wasn't just a game anymore, it was symbolic. Laimbeer's struggles told the story loud and clear. Intimidation had failed, the Jordan rules were shattered, and the Pistons' dynasty was crumbling right before everyone's eyes. Then came the closing moments of Game 4, where where history burned itself into memory. The Bulls swept their longtime tormentors, sealing the end of an era. But instead of shaking hands, showing respect, or bowing out with grace, Bill Laimbeer and the Pistons made a move that would haunt them forever.
So what happened is, Bill Laimbeer leans over and says, let's hand them the Eastern Conference. Let's hand them the torch like it was handed to us. 1988, Adrian Dantley's on the foul line in the Silverdome, and all of a sudden, all the Celtics start walking through us as the guys are on the foul line. The Celtics are leaving the court. Larry Bird, Parrish, Isaiah standing there, and we're just watching these guys walk off while AD is taking a foul shot. And out of the blue, Kevin McHale looks back at Isaiah and says, bring the trophy back to the East, and gives him a 5 and walks through.
With 17 seconds left on the clock, Laimbeer turned to his teammates and waved them toward the tunnel. We're done. Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Mark Aguirre, and the rest followed. No handshakes, no words. Just cold, silent faces walking right past Michael Jordan and the Bulls. For Laimbeer, it was one final act of defiance. But for the world watching, it looked like the ultimate act of disrespect. That infamous walkout became a scar on the Pistons' legacy. It wasn't just bad sportsmanship, it was an admission of defeat, without the courage to face it. What hurt the most wasn't even the disrespect to Jordan, it was what it said about Detroit's character in that moment. Instead of acknowledging the better team, they chose bitterness. That walkout became the lasting image of the bad boys, not their championships, not their toughness, but that walk of shame. Decades later, fans don't remember the Pistons for their dominance. They remember the sight of them turning their backs, too prideful to shake hands with the man who beat them fair and square. Meanwhile, Jordan didn't need to say a single word. His performance said everything. The Pistons' silent retreat only made his victory louder. As he stood tall on that court, the entire NBA felt the shift. The Bulls were now the kings of the East, and the Pistons had fallen, shrouded in the shadow of their own arrogance. The walkout didn't just end a game, and it etched a stain on Detroit's reputation that time still hasn't erased. But not everyone saw it that way. Isaiah Thomas, the floor general of those bad boys, later tried to justify it, claiming there was context, that it was just how things were done back then. But that explanation didn't change what everyone saw that night. Game 4 wasn't just a sweep, it was a statement.
Whined and cried for a year and a half about how bad we were for the game, but more importantly, they said we're bad people. We weren't bad people. We were just basketball players winning. And that kind of stuck with me because they didn't know who we were or what we were about as individuals in our family life. So all that whining they did, why shake their hand? They were just whiners. They won the series. Give them credit. We got old. They got past us, but okay, move on.
Do you regret now not shaking their hand? Do you stand by that?
No. Why would I regret now today? I don't care what the media says about them. I never did. If I did, I'd be a basket case, especially back then. So, I was about winning basketball games and winning championships and did whatever I had to do to get the most out of my ability and our team. And we did. At the end of the day, we're called world champions.
After 3 straight finals trips and back-to-back titles, Detroit's reign ended not with glory, but with silence. The Bulls had seized control of the East, and deep down, everyone knew the Bad Boys dynasty was never coming back. Bill Laimbeer, once the Pistons' fearless enforcer, was now running on fumes. The edge that once made him dangerous had dulled. His body couldn't keep up, and his toughness wasn't enough to tilt games anymore. Isaiah Thomas, the fiery floor general, was limping through injuries, unable to carry the offense like he used to. Even Joe Dumars, steady as ever, couldn't patch the cracks spreading through Detroit's foundation. The ferocity that once defined the Pistons now just looked desperate. Those hard fouls that used to send shockwaves through the league had lost their bite against Jordan's calm, unshakable composure. The Bulls were too poised, too locked in, too unstoppable. By the next season, Detroit's window had slammed shut.
All he does is play basketball. In the world, he's this big. I mean, he may be up there because he has publicists and media and pumping him up. But as a individual, down-to-earth, heart person, he has. I mean, who is he? Who cares about him? It's a guy with an opinion. Everybody's got their opinion. You got an opinion, I got an opinion, Bill Laimbeer's got an opinion, and it's going to be totally different at certain times. So it doesn't bother me to see other people give their opinions about certain things. If you're going to ask me my opinion, I'm going to give it to you. But it doesn't bother me as a person in terms of what I have to do in the basketball court. I'm going to go out and I'm going to play. And I'm aware of what his opinions are, but it's not going to affect the way I...
The Bad Boys were no longer contenders, just echoes of what they once were. The legendary Jordan rules that once terrified Chicago were now powerless, and soon the entire league figured it out too. The Pistons' fall came fast and it hit hard. What made it worse? Their final act, that infamous walkout. Instead of being remembered as gritty champions who forged Jordan's greatness, they became known as the team that couldn't handle defeat. That sweep didn't just eliminate Detroit from the playoffs, it erased their relevance. The collapse wasn't just about basketball, it was about legacy. They had built their name on toughness and pride, but in the end, it was their lack of respect that defined their downfall. Even a year later, after all the dust had settled, Laimbeer still had words for Jordan. But by then, it didn't matter. The power had shifted forever. For Michael Jordan, that series wasn't just another step. It was the moment everything changed. For years, the Pistons had been his wall. The one obstacle that could bruise him, frustrate him, and keep him from the finals. But on that warm May afternoon in 1991, the wall finally collapsed. And standing above the rubble was Michael Jordan, crowned as the undisputed king of the East. What made it so powerful wasn't just the stat line, though his 29 points and flawless command said plenty. It was the symbolism. Jordan had survived every elbow, every shove, every mind game the Pistons threw his way. He endured the Jordan rules and then broke them for good. That sweep wasn't just a playoff victory, it was vindication. Jordan didn't just prove he could survive the punishment, he showed he could thrive under it. He dismantled the same team that had mocked his pain and sent them home embarrassed. The Pistons era was over, and everyone watching could feel the shift in real time. The NBA changed that day. The torch wasn't passed, it was snatched away. The Bad Boys faded into memory, and Jordan's Bulls began a dynasty that would redefine greatness itself. That 1991 sweep wasn't just a win, it was the final chapter of one era and the opening line of another. The birth of dominance, the dawn of a legend. For Michael Jordan, it was the moment he proved he could rise above the toughest, roughest defense basketball had ever seen. And for the Pistons, it marked the day their legacy cracked. Toughness turned to bitterness, pride turned to silence, and their refusal to show grace left a scar that still lingers. Jordan didn't just beat them, he humbled them. Physically, mentally, and historically. From that day forward, the league belonged to him. The walkout became a permanent stain on Detroit's name. But Jordan's dominance? That became the story that defined basketball forever. The Bulls dynasty was born that night, and so was the legend of the greatest player the game has ever seen. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned because we've got more legendary moments to break down next time.